Hello and welcome to another video about Spec3. So today's video is going to be talking about how to get started racing with NASA and specifically how to race with NASA Spec3. So the requirements to race with NASA would be a legal logbooked race car as well as a NASA competition license. In order to get a NASA competition license, you must complete competition school or otherwise meet the requirements determined by your region director on obtaining a license. So if you happen to already have road racing experience, then the path to racing with NASA may be a little bit shorter than others. So if you have a license with the SCCA or BMW Club or some other road racing organization, you either may be granted a license immediately by the region director once they review your experience, or they may ask you to go on a provisional NASA license, or they'll ask you to complete a competition eval, which may be shorter than competition school. Now, since you're watching this video, I can only assume that you do not already have a racing license with a different organization, so the rest of this will be for you. So the most common path to racing with SCCA or NASA or anything like that is going to be HPDE. So HPDE stands for High Performance Driver Education or High Performance Driver Event, depending on what organization you're going with, but it's a staple of NASA events. In HPDE, there are multiple levels. 1 is for novices, 2 is for intermediate, 3 is for advanced, and 4 is usually reserved for instructors. So if you've never been on track before, you need to go and sign up for a hyperdrive or for HPDE 1 in whatever car you have available to you. The point of doing this is going to be to just get out there, see if you like driving on track, see if you like the atmosphere, and see if it's something that you would enjoy doing. If you do like HPDE 1 and you continue doing it, usually within 4 to 5 to 6 weekends of HPDE 1, maybe shorter if you're a much more advanced driver, you may be moved up to 2, and then the same thing, 4, 5, 6 weekends in 2, you may be moved up to 3. So to talk about what the differences in HPDE levels are, HPDE 1, you will have an instructor with you, and you will usually be required to give a point by only in certain parts of the track, meaning you can only pass or be passed on the straights, and you can only pass or be passed if both cars signal to each other and say, I would like to pass by presenting the car, and then the car in front will give a point by with their hand out the window telling you what side to pass on. In HPDE 2, you may still have an instructor to start. You may be marked as solo so that you can drive without an instructor after a certain number of events, and they may open up more places for you to pass. You may start passing in some shorter straights, and point bars are still required in HPDE 2. In HPDE 3, you usually will not have an instructor. You can pass anywhere, including in turns, but point buys are still required. And then in HPDE 4, usually, since that's just for instructors, anybody can pass anywhere at any time. Point buys are optional. So let's say that you're getting started out and you're going to sign up for HPDE 1. What do you need? So you need a car. It could be yours, you can borrow it from someone else, you can use the build that you're going to be using for a Spec3, or it could be, the family sedan, it can be automatic, it doesn't matter. The only thing that's important is that it's safe, it would pass a state inspection if you have one in your state, and that it has decent tires. They can be all seasons, they can be summer tires, please no winter tires, but make sure that they aren't dry rotted, that they have decent tread, they're in good shape, properly inflated. Make sure you have good brake pads on the car, make sure you have good brake fluid in the car, and then make sure that all the suspension, the seat belts, the seats are all tight, secure, and in good shape, because you're going to be putting your life and an instructor's life kind of in your hands there. So please make sure your car is safe before you do that. You don't need a race car, you don't need the fastest car, and you absolutely should not focus on installing go-fast parts on your car before you do HPDE 1. So you'll sign up for HPDE 1. You should probably bring a tool set, a spare tire, a jack, a chair, a hat, some sunscreen, some water, maybe a book or something to read in the downtime. And that's really it. Go sign up, go drive. You'll get all the information you need in whatever email you get before the event, and you show up, you meet your instructor, they do a tech inspection of your car, and then you go out on track and you go and sit in the classroom and learn about high performance driving, and that's the start of your career. So like I mentioned previously, HPDE 1, you'll be there for a few weekends, then you can move up to 2 and then to 3. At that time, you'll kind of have figured out what you want to do with your car and what you want to do with your time and how often you want to do these things. And we'll skip ahead. So you've now done this for a year and a half. You've also been working on your Spec 3 build the whole time, and now you have followed all the rules. It's legal, it has a roll cage, has all the safety equipment. So after you have gained enough experience in HPDE, presumably, let's say 10 to 12 weekends, you can then enter into competition school with NASA. So competition school is usually a Friday or Saturday event, and it will just be the rookies. It'll be people that are also trying to get their competition license. There will be drills, there will be classrooms, there will usually be a written exam, and there will be lots of tests that you've never done before. So you would need to study up on the NASA CCR and understand all of the passing rules, the rules for contact, the rules for filing appeals, the procedures for race starts and restarts, all the extra racing flags, and also understand points on licenses and suspensions and racing theory, and understand flags before and after and what they may mean if you see an incident on track and things like that. So you want to know the entire competition section of the NASA CCR front to back. You'll also be tested on your driving ability, so being able to pass and be passed, be able to go 2 and 3 wide anywhere on the track. You'll also be tested on your ability to do standing and rolling starts depending on what class you're in, and you'll also most likely have mock races that day. So NASA requires that you have a legal road racing car that passes a race car tech with a roll cage, a fire system, all of your equipment like your fire suit and your shoes and gloves. So other clubs don't require that, and thus they don't do racing on comp school days. But with NASA, you should be prepared and expect to have real wheel-to-wheel racing on your day of competition school. One additional note is that when you're in HPDE, you can get insurance on your car so that if you do ball it up, you get in a wreck or damage it, you can be reimbursed. So Haggerty, Lockton, all those other groups will do that. Once you go racing, wheel-to-wheel racing, there's no more insurance on cars. It does exist. It's prohibitively expensive. Most people that are listening to this video will not be able to avoid that. So if you are not ready to write off a car if it gets wrecked, then racing may not be for you. Finally, towards the end of your competition school day, you will be asked to do a written exam on all the topics in the CCR and racing theory and NASA racing procedure, and you will also be tested on your egress. So you'll see here a clip of an egress test for a Spec 3 racer. You are required to get out of the car in 15 seconds or less. Some regions will have a supplement to their CCR where they will require an even stricter time. The car has to be on, you have to turn it off, you have to pretend that you're pulling your fire cable, and you have to unbuckle, get your wheel off, and get out of the car in a safe fashion within that time limit. So assuming that you have now progressed through HPDE 1, 2, and 3, have a legal Spec 3 race car, have passed the NASA medical exam that's required and sent in that paperwork, and taken place in a NASA competition school, you will now be granted a NASA provisional license. So this means that you can race within the region that granted that license, and if you do wish to race in another region with your provisional license, the region directors have to talk and agree that you are safe to race in another region. You are on your provisional license until you complete 4 races cleanly. Once you complete those, you'll hand in your provisional, and then you'll be granted a full racing license. And this means that you can go to any NASA region, anywhere, no questions asked, sign up for a race and compete. And also, it will lead to improved reciprocity with other organizations. So organizations such as SCCA and BMW Club will be much more likely to grant you a license in their org if your license in NASA is a full-on license. From there, it's just time to race. There's nothing left. So congratulations if you've made it that far, and have fun out there.